To German soldiers in both World Wars, Canadians had a brutal nickname, the Storm Troops of the British Empire. In this video, we'll explore how that reputation was earned on the Western Front and later in World War II, through the eyes of the men who had to face them. German reports from World War I complained that Canadians were, quote, shock troops, aggressive, disciplined, and willing to attack in conditions where others stalled. At Vimy Ridge and Passchendaele, they earned a reputation for meticulous preparation, followed by sudden, violent assaults that left German defenders shaken. German officers noted that Canadian attacks were carefully rehearsed. They used creeping barrages, detailed maps, and small unit initiative. To the Germans in the line, it felt like the Canadians appeared out of the morning mist, exactly where the defenses were weakest. After battles like Vimy, some German prisoners reportedly asked if they'd been facing elite Guards units. When told they were up against Canadians, they started to treat that word Canadier as a warning. It meant an attack was coming that would be hard to stop. In World War II, that reputation resurfaced. German accounts from places like Ortona and the Normandy bridgehead describe Canadian infantry as stubborn in defense and relentless in attack, pressing assaults through rubble-filled streets and hedgerows that had stopped other Allied units cold. German unit diaries from Italy complained that Canadian attacks came with heavy, accurate artillery, followed by close-quarter fighting house to house. The Canadians developed techniques like mouse-holing, blowing holes through interior walls to clear buildings room by room, rather than charging down exposed streets. On the Western Front of 1944, German defenders in Normandy learned to recognize the Canadian sectors. They wrote that Canadian units were tenacious in holding captured ground, repelling counterattacks with concentrated fire and rapid counter-moves that made it costly to push them back. German comments also pointed to morale. They observed that Canadian soldiers often fought with a mix of professionalism and a certain informal toughness, less bound by class and parade ground formality than some other Allied troops, but very serious once the shooting started. By late in the war, German troops sometimes tried to identify which Allied nationalities they were facing. When they believed Canadians were opposite them, they anticipated hard-fought assaults, careful artillery preparation, and little enthusiasm for surrender on either side. It's important to remember that these German impressions were shaped by brutal fighting and heavy losses on both sides. They don't mean Canadians were perfect soldiers, or that others were not, but they do show how, from the German perspective, Canadian units stood out for aggressive tactics, solid planning, and determined infantry work in some of the hardest battles of both wars. If you'd like to go deeper into how German sources described Canadian forces and the specific battles that forged this reputation, subscribe to the channel and check the links in the description for further reading. And let me know in the comments which other wartime reputations you'd like to see explored next.